You know what's funny is just that for years we've kind of accepted the creative chaos that Adobe has thrust upon us. You got like 5 different apps, 3 different render queues, a bunch of crashes, and all before lunchtime when you're using these softwares, and it's all just to make one video. But I'm making this video to have an open conversation with you guys. I just kind of want this to be more of a conversation, just because I think that era might be over. You're gonna have to excuse me if I'm talking. I have the hiccups real bad for some reason right now. I don't know why. It kind of feels like to me that right now, 2025 is the year that a lot of people are realizing that they don't need to juggle multiple softwares, multiple programs, applications just to make that one video. It's feeling a lot more and more outdated. And by the way, I'm Ethan. I've done millions of views across the various channels that I've made content for, so I kind of know what I'm doing in this space. That being said, let's talk about what's actually changing and why you might not need After Effects anymore. So the old setup looked like this. It was Premiere for editing, After Effects for your motion graphics, Audition for sound, Media Encoder for exporting, and Photoshop and Lightroom for the photo stuff. And every single link between all of those applications is a possible failure point. And it worked, sure, sometimes. Despite itself, it worked sometimes. And now DaVinci Resolve, with its editing, Fusion, Fairlight for sound, and its own delivery page, it flips that entire mindset. Everything lives on just one timeline and all in one project file. What's nice about working in Fusion versus something like After Effects where you have to make a whole nother save file is that I can immediately see how that composition interacts with my color grade, with my sound timeline, and just with the pacing and flow of my edit so far. There's no exporting, there's no relinking, there's no having to save it here and then jump into this software and wait a couple seconds for it to refresh. None of that. I stay inside the creative moment instead of babysitting render bars. It might not be the same for you, but for me, that's the main difference. Is it's not about saving time, it's about preserving that creative flow. I gotta be real, Adobe's ecosystem was brilliant for its time. It was one of a kind, there was nothing like it. It was built around specialized apps, and for a while you could get all those apps for a single price. Now they're all behind a paywall, and a very expensive paywall at that, I might add. And with all these AI tools that they're adding in, they're just jacking up the price like crazy. If you haven't seen my video about that, you can watch it here, I believe, or maybe it's right here. I'll link it for you. You could watch that. Resolve's model, however, you buy it once and you own it outright. You don't need to pay monthly for it. You own it through and through. And to be honest, that mindset of owning it bleeds into your psyche as a creator. I can and will testify that since switching to Resolve and knowing that I don't have that monthly payment ahead of me, it's liberating. It makes me feel a little more free. In 2015, say 2015, around that time, maybe we paid for features, but now in 2025, we pay for creativity and flow. Frictionless workflow. Just with the quality of the technology that we have now, the less time you spend managing and babysitting your software, the more time that you get to spend making things. And that shift isn't just about money, like I was saying, it's about independence. Now, the cool part isn't just what Resolve can do, it's about how much you can get done all at the same time, about how everything talks to each other. So you could have the editor, the colorist, the compositor in Fusion, and the sound design guy all working on the same project at the same time collaboratively. It's kind of like Google Docs, but for video production. And I don't think you can do that I think you can do that in Adobe. As far as I'm aware, it's just not very good. But with DaVinci Resolve, there's no re-encoding, there's no lost fidelity, anything like that. The same GPU acceleration powers your grade, your timeline, your comp, all that stuff. It's all one engine. And that means you get to try wilder ideas without breaking your project. These hiccups are killing me, man. And what's wild that I'm really happy to see is that this integrated approach is becoming the norm as time goes on. There's more independent studios, more agencies and firms, and a lot more YouTubers switching over to this style of workflow just because it's just better, it's more efficient, it's cheaper. Why would you not jump on it at that point, you know? Everyone is sort of realizing that less fragmentation means more creativity. But the real question now isn't about performance at all, it's about philosophy. So let's rewind again for a second. That Adobe era we were talking about, with the round trips, the crashes, and all the renders that failed overnight, at the time we tolerated that because there wasn't a better option on the market. That was what we had. Premiere plus After Effects felt like the complete creative workflow. But the truth is, as time goes on, it became more of a patchwork solution, and now we just don't have to patch anymore. There are so many other options that you could be using instead of that. So now, the final question becomes, do you still need After Effects? So if you rely on After Effects exclusive plugins, you have a library of scripts perhaps, sure, you might still need After Effects at that point, and you specifically. Maybe you're working inside that massive studio pipeline. After Effects still does have its place. It's powerful, it's deep, and it is battle tested. But if you're an independent creator, influencer, content creator, whatever, small studio maybe, Fusion and Resolve does everything After Effects does, and it's cheaper and it works better with nodes. It's just more efficient. Everything happens in far fewer steps, basically. And That's what really matters. Not the tool itself, but the philosophy behind that tool. Do you know what I mean? Just because you don't want a bunch of apps all talking to each other, just because the more moving parts you have, the higher chance of failure. If you have one unified solution where everything is contained within that solution, you're better off. Basically, do you want that cluster of apps talking about your project, or do you want that one app that is your project? So here's my closing message. Here's where I've landed. After Effects didn't lose its power. I just think that the creative world outgrew the idea that creative flow needed to be fragmented, because the future isn't about switching tools. It's about bringing them together. If you're the guy that's still in the multi-app workflow, I want to know why. I want to have that conversation with you. I want to have that civilized back and forth, and kind of pick your brain a little bit. I want to know more about why you choose to stay where you are. Is it that you're comfortable here? Is that you've been with it for too long? You're familiar? Are you perhaps scared to try something else? Did you try something else and just didn't like it? I mean, what happened? But drop your setup below. I want to see how far this shift has really gone. That's all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. If you thoroughly disliked it, leave it a dislike. Comment your setup down below. I want to get that dialogue going, that one-on-one. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 4,000 as of the time of recording this video, as of October the 25th at about 11 o'clock p.m. I'd love to have you along for the ride. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.